don't want to stay with you, Mama. Sit there, Mama, and don't say a word until I'm gone. Be home early.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Mask of the Slasher. This week we're going to talk about classic Carrie. Woo! As school has now started, granted the fact that Carrie actually takes place at the end of the school year,
right.
But when I think of horror movies and school, I think of Carrie.
Yeah.
This movie came out in 1976, and it was directed by Brian De Palma, and it was based on the Stephen King novel of Carrie. This was the first movie adapted from a Stephen King book.
Oh, really?
He only got $2,500 for the rights to it, but he was more excited about the fact that it got accepted as a movie than anything else.
Dang.
So this is also the only version of Carrie that he actually likes.
Oh, well.
It's because he's smart.
Understandable.
And I haven't read the book. Big surprise, that's a theme here. But apparently the ending in the book is different from this.
Oh.
So it makes me actually want to read it, maybe.
Just the last chapter.
Yeah, just the last chapter. Just, we don't need all the other stuff. So this movie starred, of course, Sissy Spacek as Carrie. She's been in other stuff. We know that.
Yeah.
But this is what you know her for.
Right.
More than anything.
Absolutely.
Piper Laurie, who is, or was, her mother in this, but she died last October, unfortunately. Amy Irving, who is Sue, she is the curly-haired girl in this. The weird part about this one, though, is that I later learned that she is the woman in Yentl.
Oh.
Now.
Papa, can you hear me?
Yes. BJ Souls, who is Norma in this, she is also in the original Halloween.
Yep.
And she was Linda in that. She was annoying Linda.
Yeah.
She was the one that you got to see her boobies.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. The one with her and her boyfriend. I just want my beer.
Yeah.
And then Nancy Allen, who is Chris, and she was also in
RoboCop
1, 2, and 3. And she was the stepmom in Poltergeist 3. John Travolta's in it as Billy. Ugh.
It's like so weird.
Shut up. Scientology.
Yeah.
Just kind of killed it. I used to really like him.
Me too.
And then Scientology. I mean, and the funny thing is that he's been in that since the beginning.
Right.
That's how he got the Staying Alive and all that stuff. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, those are the main peeps in this.
Yeah.
This is a story about a girl who is very sheltered by her incredibly religious mother. Mm-hmm. Her mom got knocked up by a dude. There's a couple different things that you hear about the theories as to what happened to him, but basically he skedaddled.
Yeah.
We'll just go with that. He ran out, didn't want to deal with it. So then mom went nuts. And was like, I don't want my daughter to be a whore and all these things. Just went off her rocker.
Right.
But Carrie is an awkward girl at school. She's very homely. By the way, she was like 24 or 25 in this.
Really?
Yeah, and she's supposed to be 17, and she looks even younger.
Closer to 17 than 24, that's for sure.
It's really crazy.
Very.
And she was actually the prom queen in real life at her high school. So, kind of weird, huh?
Yeah, very weird.
But anyway, so she's awkward and has a hard time getting along with everybody. And like I said, this was at the end of the school year. And it opens up with way too many boobies, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot. Not
very unnecessary.
Yeah, but you weren't complaining.
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Unnecessary, in my opinion.
So Carrie is in the shower in the locker room after they had their PE period, and then she ultimately has her period.
Right.
But her mother did not inform her of what this was. So she just sees blood, and it scares the living shit out of her.
Right.
Understandable.
Yeah.
And then all the girls tease her and are throwing tampons and stuff at her, and it's just hot garbage.
Yeah.
And Sue sees that this isn't very nice, and whatever, but she kind of just stays back,
Yeah.
She doesn't want to rock the boat with her asshole friends.
Right.
And they get punished.
Yeah.
They have after-school stuff that has to happen, like detention stuff, but out on the field, unfortunately. And the girls are like, they aren't allowed to go to the prom now. And, of course, they're pissed off about it.
Right.
So they decide to take out revenge on Carrie. Obviously, nobody knows that.
Yeah.
But Sue, she feels bad for Carrie, and she's like, hey, bro, her boyfriend, whatever his name is. I can't remember what his name is.
Yeah, I don't either.
But can you take her out to the prom
Right.
and make her feel better? Which was a very sweet thing to do. And even the PE teacher is trying to make her less awkward and like, oh, you should put some makeup on and all this weird stuff. And I'm like, what kind of PE teacher is this? Mine did not think of makeup, let me tell you.
It's a very involved PE teacher.
Yeah, she was a lot. So Bro tries to ask Carrie out many times, and she just keeps going, no, piss off. You know, she knows what her mom's going to say.
Right.
But ultimately, he won't leave her front door until she says yes.
Yeah.
So she reluctantly says yes, and I think she was still very excited about it, but just worried about the wrath of her mother.
Right,
so
exactly. Yep.
She she has a nice dress. She goes to the drugstore and just steals some lipstick, which is gross, by the way.
Take off that dress. We'll burn it together and pray for forgiveness.
No, Mama. He is coming, Mama. Now stop it. I'm nervous enough.
And she goes to the prom. And this is where the revenge comes in.
Yep.
And everybody knows the scene. Even if you haven't seen Carrie, you know the scene.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's planned
Oh,
that
yeah,
she's
they
put on
rigged
the ballot for prom queen, and her date is prom king. And yeah, so they rigged the whole thing. And so she obviously wins prom queen. So they have to go up on the stage with the stupid crowns, and she's so excited, so elated that finally people, are noticing her as more than just the homely girl.
Yeah.
But there's a bucket of pig's blood above her, and it drops on her.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
Yeah.
Now, throughout this movie, she is learning about the fact that she has telekinetic powers.
Right.
And so she could move things with her mind, is what that means. And so she, after this bucket of blood thing happens, and she's just in shock, but she's so pissed.
Yeah.
So in the gymnasium, she locks up all the doors and starts a fire and just, going to burn everybody alive. And, when I had first watched this, I was like, why would you do that to the PE teacher and to Sue, who tried to be nice and whatever. And I think what it comes down to is she was upset that the fact that if you guys had not even bothered, then I wouldn't be up here.
Right.
You should have just left me alone. I was fine. School was almost over with, and then she could move on with her life.
Right.
But they put all this attention on her that she didn't want and forced her to go to the prom, and she probably thought that Sue was in on it.
Right.
And then the teacher was just, like, you should have just left me alone. Stop telling me I need to put makeup on and do things she didn't need to do.
Yeah.
So, and then she walks home in her bloody dress and kills her mom.
Yep.
Also with telekinetic powers with knives.
Yeah.
It's a fabulous scene.
It's a good one.
Yeah. Carrie is obviously a classic movie and a staple in horror. And probably the bloodiest thing I had first seen, so because it's a lot of blood. Obviously not real blood. It was Caro syrup.
Yeah.
Which, if you've ever used Caro syrup as fake blood, it is horrendous. You're so sticky and just gross.
Yeah.
Ugh, it's nasty. So, but yeah, what did you think of it? When did you first watch it? Did you come out of the womb early so you could go and see?
I did in 1970s, and then I went back in.
And then you went back in. You got a couple more years
exactly.
to.
No, I don't even remember when I first saw it, to be honest with you.
The HBO situation.
Probably, most likely. Yeah, I don't have this one. I don't have a first clue.
And what did you think of it?
Like, it's never been. I'm not gonna lie, it's never been my favorite movie or anything. It's not one I ever go out of the way to watch. Really, I mean, I acknowledge it as a classic and I appreciate it for what it is. But it's such to me, and sorry if this sounds sexist or whatever, it's a very feminine story. It's very much about female issues that women face, I feel, more so than anything.
Yeah.
Which is surprising. It was written by a man, but anyway. So it never really drew me in as much as some other movies, I think, because of that, maybe.
Yeah. Well, and I will say that when you're in junior high and high school, the fact that Carrie started her period in high school, that's pretty late in the game, by the way. But I think as a girl who, had to deal with all this stuff during junior high and high school, it's very embarrassing. You have sex ed and you have all those things, which obviously she didn't get.
Right.
But you're not taught everything still.
Yeah.
Unless you have a great mom who's just super open about all of it, really pulls women into this movie for that reason.
Right.
Is that we've all been there. And we've all not wanted to be chastised and, have attention drawn to us in a negative light for any reason, to be humiliated in front of a school.
Right.
That's like a nightmare. That's like the nightmare of going to school naked. It's probably one of the worst things you can feel. The character of Carrie was based on a couple different things. Stephen King did, in fact, witness at some point. There was a girl at his school that, this is kind of shitty, actually. Her mom was basically she had a spending issue.
Okay.
And so she would buy all these magazines so she could do these sweepstakes. And then, of course, never win anything.
Right.
But because she spent all that money on that, this girl only had one change of clothing.
Oh.
And so she was constantly picked on in school. And of course, there's always school bullies, and especially girls.
Yeah.
Girls can just be dicks.
Yeah.
Total dicks. Way worse than dudes. And it's because we know how to get to people.
Right.
We know how to get to you. So I think that's why it speaks to us a little bit more. I can understand why it wouldn't be a big deal to you. But at the same time, I think it's a lesson for men to not be douche nozzles.
Yeah.
And understand that these girls go through these things. So don't give us extra stress,
Right.
Don't be dicks on top of that. And, go out to pig farms and get blood and all this stupid shit.
Yeah.
Well, and then John Travolta was a total dick,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
the whole time.
Yeah.
So I think that it's a lesson. Kind of like Fatal Attraction.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Don't fuck with us.
Yeah.
We will put a rabbit in soup.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nothing worse.
Oh, bun soup. Yeah. But yeah, I don't remember when I first saw this either. I'm pretty sure it was also an HBO situation. But it definitely was surprising to me. And it was probably one of the first 70s horror movies, aside from Halloween, that I had seen. I like the idea of the revenge.
Yeah.
I mean, there isn't any person who's been bullied that hasn't thought of how they can get back at those bullies.
Sure.
And this is like the ultimate. I mean, burning people alive. I'm not going to go burn people alive. Don't worry about it. I already know where my bullies are, and I keep close watch on them. As I said, Carrie's mom was a psycho.
Yes.
I mean, she had a few screws loose.
More than a few. I'd say all the screws were loose.
They were all falling out of her ear. If you never paid attention to the fact that her mom calls boobs dirty pillows.
Yeah.
I can see your dirty pillows. Everyone will.
Dirty Pillows
That's a good
is
one.
hilarious to me. It's so funny. It reminds me of, what was it, The Underwear Gnome or something like that from, what is that movie called? Clerks.
Oh, okay.
Remember the guy that worked at movies?
Oh, yeah.
And he always talked about like the underwear gnome or something like that, so you can't have sex because that thing is there. So the dirty pillows kind of reminded me of that.
Gotcha.
It's just funny to me. But the other one, and it's a line that has been used as backing tracks and stuff for songs, is they're all going to laugh at you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it just rings through Carrie's head as all this stuff is happening.
Trust me, Carrie. You can trust me. Trust me, Carrie. You can trust me.
That line is, well, first of all, it's like nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah.
And it really, I think after this whole situation happened to Carrie and she gets back home, and her mom's like, basically, I told you so.
Yeah.
And Carrie's torn between believing her mom or telling her to fuck off. And ultimately, she tells her to fuck off.
Well, yeah, her mom tries to kill her, though.
Well, I know, well, that too. But I think it also comes back, because remember I was saying, it was hard for me to understand why the PE teacher and Sue were killed.
Yeah.
But aside from her mom trying to kill her, it was the fact that her mom made her this way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And once again, if you hadn't done this, I would be normal. Well, normal, and be able to function in school better and maybe not have the social issues that she had.
Right.
So, but yeah, the dirty pillows and the all gonna laugh at you thing, it sticks.
Yeah.
It sticks. It's one of the famous lines in there.
Oh, absolutely.
At the end, when Sue apparently made it out, she ends up in the hospital and she's waking up from a nightmare. And the person who is her mother in this movie is actually her mom. But what happened is that Amy Irving's reaction to that particular scare, like just her craziness, apparently her mom actually called her Amy in the movie.
Oh, really?
But the music plays over it, so you can't see or hear what happened.
Gotcha.
Apparently, I don't know. I'll have to go back and watch it again to see.
Yeah.
But she was so shocked, and she thought something was actually wrong with her daughter, as opposed to her acting. Jump scares like that at the end of movies became popular after that.
Right.
I think the one that is most recognized is Friday the 13th, where at the end she's like, "Oh, I got away," and she's floating in a boat.
Yeah.
And then, nope,
Yep.
just kidding, and they did it in Nightmare on Elm Street with the blow-up doll going through the window.
Yeah.
also known as her mom.
Yeah,
But yeah,
so bad.
it was it was horrible. And like I said, the ending of the book was different from this.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it would have had the same effect reading it as seeing it, obviously, because
sure.
it's a jump scare.
It's very visual, yeah.
Can't really jump scare in a book.
No.
That would be weird, like a pop-up
Yeah.
comes out of the
Yeah.
book,
Words! Oh,
Oh God! Oh
What was
Jesus!
that sentence? Scared the hell out of me.
Jesus.
Oh, just came out of nowhere.
Gosh, those exclamation points
Right.
really got to me. Really just goosebumps. Just goosebumps. There are remakes of this movie,
Unfortunately.
unfortunately. I did watch the original remake of it. I don't know what else to call it, but the one that was done in like the, I don't know, early 2000s, I think
yeah.
it was, something like that. It's horrible. I watched it about a month or so ago, while doing other things because it's so bad. And oh my gosh, I don't even know what they were thinking with this, because there's just something about movies that are done back in the 70s and 80s that just don't have the same atmosphere these days.
Right.
And we talked about this with I Spit on Your Grave. Film was just, it looked different. Actual
Yeah.
film looked different.
Yeah.
Angles were different. Film direction was different. It was just, even words, their cadence, all of those things everything was different from what we have now.
Yeah.
And they explained more shit, of course, in the new one. Once again, you don't need it all.
needed, yeah.
Just leave it alone.
Yep.
So I wouldn't waste your time on the remake. It's hot garbage. It's not good.
What about the remake?
The remake,
Yeah.
didn't watch it,
Okay.
don't want to.
Yeah, that's probably terrible. I'm sure.
Well, yeah, why do you need to keep making these
Yeah,
things?
Just stop.
Yeah, make your own
Hollywood,
shit.
stop.
Yeah. They just latch on.
Oh, yeah.
Stephen King was like, why are you remaking it? The
Oh.
first one was just fine. Why
Yeah,
would you do
yeah.
that? Stop remaking shit.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. But anyway, I'm assuming everybody's seen Carrie.
Yeah.
This is also a Walmart $5 bin
Oh, absolutely.
situation. And then, of course, it's streaming
Yeah. Everywhere.
everywhere. So you can watch it at any point you want. But what did you think of it when you first saw it? I mean, do you have the same situation as Josh and I, where if you're a man, that you don't get the same draw to it, the same feeling from it that a woman could?
Right.
Because of not understanding, just what she goes through with the bullies and everything. It's a different scenario.
Yeah.
Women just go through a lot more during puberty.
Yeah.
So it's a lot worse
Right.
for us. That's all there is to it. You guys can get sweatpants boners and tuck it into your waistband. You're fine.
Well, that's not to say I wasn't ever picked on a little bit. My high school was full of shitty people, but luckily I was tall, so most of the time most people left me alone.
That's good. Let's leave the tall weird guy alone.
Exactly.
With the Cosby sweaters.
Exactly.
So anyway, yeah, let us know what you think. We're gonna keep going with this theme. We're gonna start working into fall
Yeah.
and spooky season. Woo! So anyway, we'll see you next week. Bye.